guys, welcome back to my channel. So today's video is going to be another DIY crochet video because I have a baby and I have so many other jobs like nursing and all the above, so that's why I didn't have enough time to do it. So whenever I had time, I like try to work on it, and this took me 2 days, but I love how it turned out. So without further ado, I'm gonna show you guys how I made this from scratch. So we are going to start out with 2 different color yarn, which I used the brand Impeccable. Each one was 4.5 ounce or 127.5 gram. And also I bought a set of crochet hook needles from Amazon, but I chose to use 5.5 millimeter one. Then you can use bobby pin or any other safety pin for stitch marker, but I have this plastic green safety pin, so I decided to use this. I decided to use the green one as the base of the bag, and to start out with, we are going to use the slip knot. How to make it is that you hold the yarn like this and crisscross the shorter part on top of the longer part, and using the finger like this, bringing the longer yarn into the loop you already created, and pull both parts of the yarn like this. And here is the loop. And now we are going to start making base chains. I'll be making 51 chains in total, one being just an extra one. So how I do it is I like holding the shorter end yarn with my thumb and then the longer yarn with my index finger. I started making single chains. So you can go under the longer yarn like this, and then using the hook to grab the yarn and pull it through the loop you already have. This creates one chain. You do this for 50 more times, also 51 chains in total for making the base of the bag. When you're done with the stitches, you can actually start making the single crochets. With a loop on the hook, we are going to ignore the first chain and go into the second one and start doing single crochets. You are going to push through the stitch and grab the yarn and grab it through like this, so that you have 2 loops in total on the top of the hook. Now you will yarn over like this using the hook again and pull it through both loops. This is a single crochet. Now we are going to do this for next 3 times, pushing through the next stitch, pulling the yarn and grabbing the yarn again, and pulling through the both loops to finish the stitch. When it comes to the 5th one, this is where we transition to the next color. So after going through the 5th stitch with the hook and pulling the yarn to make 2 loops, instead of grabbing the green yarn again, we are going to grab the pink one like this and grab the pink yarn and pulling it through both loops. Then now we are going to start the pink part. But what is different now is that, as you can see here, you need to align the green yarn and the extra shorter leftover yarn on top of the base stitch so that we can make stitches on top of it to hide them. So this is what I mean. As you align the yarn like this, start a single crochet by going through the stitch with the hook and grab the pink longer yarn and pull it through. And then as you continue to align the yarn like this, grab the pink yarn again, pull it through both loops we just made. I already went ahead and made a few more stitches, but as you can see, I am hiding the other yarn inside the stitches I am making. Then you can continue the 5 stitches, including the transition one. Unlike the first set of green one we did on the 5th one, we transition on the 6th one. And like before, we are grabbing the green one for transitioning and put the longer pink yarn aligning with the base so that we are hiding it underneath the stitches. It can be kind of tricky. As you can see, I am struggling here, but it will become easier as you go on. After you do this for the rest of the base, it becomes like this. Now that we are done with one side of the base, we are going to go around the base and create the same thing on the other side, the thinner side of the base, as you can see. So this is the end of the stitch, and from here we're going to make one more single crochet on the same stitch we just finished in one more time. Then we are going to go on and do the same single crochets in each stitch like the previous row, and I'm going to match the color with the other side of the base. So I am continuing with the same green color, hiding the pink yarn underneath. So again, go through the stitch, grab a yarn, making 2 loops, and grabbing the yarn again and pulling through the 2 loops, if you know what I mean. We already did this previously. You can continue the single stitch and transitioning on the 6th stitch pattern until the end of the base. After that, I like using stitch marker like this just to know where the entire loop starts and finish. After the first official row is done, now we are going to continue with the single crochets, but instead of just grabbing one yarn stitch to go underneath, we are going to grab what you can see here, 2 stitches lying here making a V shape. We will make the hook go through both yarn and do the single crochet of pulling through the yarn, making 2 loops and then grabbing yarn one more time to complete the stitch. Continue doing this for next 5 rows in total. So this is the second row. We'll be needing 3 more rows after this one. After 5 rows are done, we can now switch the colors. So just like how we transition colors, I switch colors 1 stitch before where the stitch marker is so that whatever is on top of the previous yarn color will be different. So here, since the previous one was green, I transitioned to pink and started doing the single crochets, hiding the green one underneath by aligning with the previous stitches made. So again, go through the V-shaped stitch, pull through the yarn and making 2 loops on the hook and grabbing the yarn to pull it through, making 1 loop on the hook at the end. Then at the 6th stitch, transition the color, but instead of grabbing the same color at the end, grab the next color, switching places with the original color you were making stitches with. So let's say each 5 row created is like a block. I created 7 more blocks, I guess, in total. This can continue as many times as possible, however big you want the bag to be, but I think 7 blocks was enough. The width was around 13.5 inches and the height was around a bit over 9 inches. So next part is to create the straps. Using the measuring tape, I measure around 3 inches away from each end and then marked it with the stitch marker on both sides of the bag. So to make the straps, I just continued single crochet until where the stitch marker is. And of course, I continue to switch colors in accordance with the pattern I was following. And after reaching the stitch marker, now you have to chain 1, which I forgot to do here, but you just have to do like a simple chain and then turn the bag around, go back to the stitch we just created, and do what is called slip stitch. We are going to go through the first stitch, pull the yarn through the stitch, make the 2 loops we've been doing, but from here, instead of yarning over to pull it through, we are going to pull the second loop we already created, pulling through the first loop that was on the hook originally like this. Make sure to tighten the yarn as you go, and then continue with the single crochet like the first row we created. Don't forget to alternate colors as you continue, and after the row is done, we do another chain, turn the bag around, create the slip stitch again on the first stitch, and do the normal single crochets all the way through the other side. Now, since we are on the second row, I will show you how to start decreasing the width of the strap. At the end, you can see how we have the last stitch, kind of a curved one, but we will ignore that chain and skip it. We're going to chain 1 again and then turn the bag around, do a slip stitch on the first stitch right here, and continue with the single crochet with the next stitch so that we're decreasing. We're kind of abandoning the last stitch to make it narrower. I continue with the pattern until it became around 3 inches wide, and then slowly merge the color into one color. Continue with the same width without narrowing it after 5 rows. I stopped around when it became 7 to 8 inches long, but if you want, you can do it longer for the straps. This is only one side, and now we are going to cut the yarn, but don't cut it too short just in case. And now we're going to continue with the other side using the same yarn. I got both of the yarn and pulled it through the stitch where the stitch marker is like this. It's easier if you use the hook to pull it through though. Then I tied a knot to make it more secure. Now we are going to do the exact same thing again. Exact same like pattern, decreasing to make it narrower and becoming like 3 inches wide like the other strap we created. I'm going to start with green since the color below was pink, then transitioning to the next color. If you need to review how we did this, you should go back to the previous part of the video just to review. Now we're going to cut the yarn, but we're leaving the long amount of yarn so that we can use this to connect the straps together on the top. On the top, we are going to pull through the yarn and use the yarn as if you are doing regular sewing with a regular thread. Okay, as you can see here, when I aligned the top of the strap, I made a mistake of not counting properly how many stitches each strap has. So it doesn't match. But it's okay, I'm just gonna make it work. But here, first align the straps, and then using the excess yarn, we are going to use the hook to pull it through each side of the stitch, as you can see, and then flip it around, go through the stitches of each side of the strap using the hook and pull through the yarn so that it's just connecting the entire strap. Do this for the rest of the stitches, and at the end you can just do the simple knot, but I did it twice, double knot just to make sure, and then cut the yarn not too close to the knot but leaving a little bit excess amount of yarn. And for the cleaner finish, I pull through each of the yarn on the other side like this, kind of like weaving it in between. We can totally finish here, but I want to make the edges cleaner. So I decided to do one more layer of a single crochet all around. I just chose colored green. You can choose whichever color you want, but I like green right now. So you should pull through the green yarn with the hook from the either side of the top part of the bag like this, so that it's easier to keep track. And then make a double knot to secure it and simply start single crochets all around. When you go around and come back to the first stitch, you can double knot again and cut the yarn and weave the excess like how we did when we finished connecting the strap. Do the same for the other side and you are finally done. This is a finished product and I love the color so much. It goes with so many different outfits. It's big enough for me to even put like a big planner or, you know, everything. My phone, my wallet, everything. And because of the extra single crochet finish at the end, the strap feels more sturdy. I've been taking this bag literally everywhere and a lot of people compliment it. So that's pretty much it for the video. I forgot to film a little bit more, but I'll just show you guys what I did. So basically just doing single crochets all around the edges on the both sides so that it's just kind of cleaner finish, because before it was more like, I don't know, it's just like more wavy and wonky looking, but this is better in my opinion. I think it was a success overall. I really like this bag because I use like double yarn and that kind of goes over each other. I think it's like thicker in the material too. Well, that's it for the video. Hope you guys found this video helpful, and let me know in the comment section down below which other DIY I should try and give you guys a tutorial on. See you in my next video. Bye!